Hey again, everyone. Thank you for joining me. There's a lot of folks making a lot of content out there. So if you're still engaging in my discussions, it is still much appreciated. So, anyway, thank you for the comments and the views yesterday, and thank you for the emails as well. Today, I want to talk to you about these are what I think are misconceptions. Remember, this is my opinion, so you don't have to agree with me, but I'm not really looking for a debate on the channel. So I think I've seen some really bad advice over the years, and some things that when I change them, they things seem to get a lot better. So we'll get right into it. There's a couple of things that I just don't agree with, and hopefully this will bring some value to the conversation. So the first one is that you need to forgive the narcissist. And I don't think that that's always 100% true. Number one, the narcissist is not going to ask you for forgiveness. So wherever this comes from, it's not always a good thing, especially if you're still having to deal with the narcopath. Okay, because forgiveness is a doorway for them to continue doing what they do. I'm not saying that you need to let the negative emotions eat you up inside, and that you need to uh, be a door that you I don't want you to let the negative, these situations take up your time. Okay. But this real forgiveness thing, it needs to come in time. Okay. When it's time. If you're still having to deal with an narcopath, it's probably best to still keep an eye on them and not to forgive them, and to um, let them do the same things they've been doing over and over again anyway. So that forgive excuse me forgiveness is a good concept for ourselves, but it has to be done in the right time. Okay, so I'm not saying don't ever do it. It just depends on, are you finally completely no contact. And remember, these conversations that I'm having are, if you can, I mean, if you can go no contact, God, how many times do I have to say just go no contact? But these conversations are not for that. These are typically when you're still having to be involved with them at some capacity anyway. So uh, forgive them when it's time. Okay. And if it's not time, especially if someone's telling you to do this, you just need to. On that note, I almost forgot. I had one of the narcopaths tell me that it was easy for them to forgive. Well, yeah, you didn't have the same things done to you, right? So it's easy for you. This is just this virtue signaling bullshit that you see so much. Most of the people that come on here, even other platforms that I've seen, that tell you to just forgive, these are empty platitudes. I guarantee you that they can't practice it the way they tell you to. Do it when it's time. Okay. The second misconception that I've found is that narcissism is born out of trauma, and it's not always true. The two narcopaths that were the closest to me were both spoiled only children, or effectively an only child on one. Her siblings were much younger. So, um, and I've heard before that's some kind of abuse too. I'm not going with that. I'm not going with it. That doesn't make any sense to me, that if someone has what they want, they have all their needs met, that somehow they're going to turn into an abusive narcopath because of it. It's not true. Now, can trauma create a narcissist? I do think so. I think that a lot of the time that's happening because you're seeing a chain effect of what's happening in our society, that um, people are having kids that shouldn't have kids. I mean, just frankly, that's how I'm going to put it. So, yeah, trauma, abuse can cause a narcissism, and it can cause someone to behave as a narcissist. But I have a question for you. You were abused, right? Why aren't you a narcissist? Okay. That's because it's a choice. This is where I'm going to get to number three here in just a second. The third one. And I say everything I need to on that? Yeah, yes, trauma can cause narcissism, but a lot of them, it's not. It's a choice. Okay, they're doing what they do because it works. Okay, so let's go to the third thing, that it's a mental illness, and nothing is further from the truth. narcissism and cluster B personality disorders is not something that they genuinely suffer from. The people around them suffer, all right, but it works for them. That's why they're so hard to diagnose. And it's why it's so hard to get them to get therapy to change. Can you change one? I don't know. Maybe I'll make something about that. But for this, it's not a mental illness. It is a personality disorder, and it is telling you it's a choice. All right. Just like I said, if you were abused and you're not a narcissist and the narcissist was abused, but they are, what's the difference? Okay. And it's not a mental illness. It's because it works for them. They continue to use it as it's a lifestyle. It's more than a lifestyle. It's their MO. It's the way they handle everything, and you can watch it. I can't say enough times that, like I said, I know that the trauma can cause a narcissist, but it's not all narcissists are caused by trauma. So that's in a nutshell, at least my belief of the way that goes. So let's talk about the societal, what's going on, society narcissism, because it seems to be an epidemic of what's going on. And I'm not going to pick sides on this, like political sides, because I'm looking at both and neither one of them seem to make any sense to me. So we're going to go to and it seems to be more on one side than the other, the left. And this victim mimicry, this always being offended. This is the fourth thing that and these are, make no mistake, the people that you see that are the loudest, that are yelling the loudest about issues and rights that really aren't equal. I do think that we should have equal rights. I'm not going down a political path with this, but they're the ones that are yelling the loudest, that cause the most nonsense. I firmly believe that these people are at least rooted in some sort of cluster B personality disorder, even if it's not narcissism, could be BPD, I don't know, histrionic, one of them, or several. You can't have more than one. What I'm telling you is that the victim mimicry, it works for them. This is a narcissistic tactic that worked on me over and over again, and sometimes it still does. Is that when someone feigns victimhood, it triggers a response in the target. So that you want, like I mentioned yesterday, how when someone's angry, I'm like, no, what did I do? What can I do to fix the situation? Because I'm thinking in we, not in just myself. I'm thinking of a culture or a society. We have to work together. That's not how the narcopath thinks. They don't really care about working together. They only care about what they want. So if they mimic being a victim, or mimic being offended, okay, this triggers a response in the other folks or the people around them. That's exactly what it's intended to do. And let me tell you, it's damn near hardwired. Okay, I know that you can learn and unlearn things, and our minds are very malleable. You can change habits. Excuse me, you can change habits, but typically the way that the victim, and I'm saying victim because they're feigning victimhood, or they're feigning that they're offended. Man, maybe they really are offended. It doesn't even matter, but it triggers something in the people around them to try to fix the problem. So what happens is we're going further and further into insanity, because the the nuttier that people act, the crazier that they become, the more that others try to appease them. But I think you're seeing a really, really big change in at least that one right now. And this is very encouraging. And you're seeing it even on, let's not say both, let's say all sides, because I think that the two sides is it's a setup. Okay, we'll just go with that. It's a setup. I can't get into that right now. But anyway, so if someone's acting like, well, you've stepped on my rights, or you did this, or you did this to my ancestors, and they create some sort of guilt in you, it's very profitable. They can get you. I saw something yesterday. It was just nauseating. Okay, I'll go and uh, I was out to dinner last night, and I saw some folks of a different persuasion giving a manager of a restaurant some real grief. over virtually nothing. And they have pretended to be offended. It's a pretty nice place too. I'm not sure how they afforded to eat there. I can't afford to eat there. But anyway, I was there. So anyway, I'm watching this and I'm watching this guy bend over backwards over and over and over for these people who are just doing nothing but abusing this guy. And he doesn't know what we know. I don't think he does, or he probably would have just put a stop to it right then, shut him the door and let him go out. But I watch this where folks pretend this, and it works so well. There's something really flawed in, at least in my makeup and character, that this it still is working, and it needs to. We need to be able to discern when it works and when it's not good for society. We cannot let people who are victimizers, okay, with this passive aggressive nonsense rule our countries any longer. And I'm not talking about just the top, I'm talking about the grassroots too, where people are constantly pissed off at you for something that you didn't do. So the victim mimic, as our friend Connor put it, this is exactly what's going on, and it works very well. So I have one more for you, okay? And this is what I see across the platforms. Again, these things are starting to diminish, but I want to go and put them out there for to make sure that we don't forget that most narcissists are men. And I just don't think that's true. Sorry, I told you I finally found one. It was in my circles. Depends on your proximity. It depends on where you are to others. That's how you're going to attract the narcopaths. Like let's just say that you're a normal human being and you attract narcopaths. Generally, they're going to be in romantic relationships. Okay, that happens a lot if it's not already happened in your family. So it's typically going to be someone of the opposite sex, or the opposite gender. There's only two. Uh, there's only two. All right. So watch out for them too. Anyway, so I want equal rights and more. So if they're not, it's not all men. I would say that I think there was a point or two discrepancy, but it's roughly 50-50 across the board. So you don't have to forgive a narcissist, number one, until you're ready. Don't let anybody tell you that you have to. Besides that, anger is wisdom. It keeps you safe from people like that. When you're angry and you don't feel right with these people, there's a reason why. Stop trying to brush that under the rug I mean, it's foolish to do that. And whoever it is that's talked us into that, they need to be dealt with as well. Trauma, it doesn't always cause narcissism. Some of these people are just born that way. They got a lizard brain. They don't care about you. They don't care about anybody else. It's not a mental illness. Okay. It's not a mental, it is a choice, whether they were abused or not. If you're an adult, you should be able to make proper choices on how to treat the people around you. Okay. Victim mimicry, where these people are victims. They're not victims at all, and it works for them. That's why they don't change. And it's about 50-50 across the board. Okay. So all right, look, now that I've got my new digs in here, I'm a little bit more comfortable trying to make some content for you. So I'll continue to try. I know it's been a year or two ago. I said I'm going to come to you every Saturday, and I didn't do it. And I still, I'm not going to promise that, but maybe I can come up with more things, because people do find my shadow banned channel somehow. Haven't had the subscriber count move one way or the other in years. It's definitely in the algorithm. So anyway, if you have found the channel, please come back. I really do appreciate you with the conversations. And I think that's it. That's all I was going to tell you. Misconceptions, guys. We need to be careful about what information we be careful about what information we take to heart. Okay. Lost my train of thought at the end. It's good to see you all again, and I hope to see you all again real soon.